The Buddha, as we know him now, it was Prince Siddhartha, right? And I'm going to make it very short. He was born in a Sakya clan. He was a prince. He had a whole lot of money and palaces and all the pleasures. And there was a prediction when he was born that either he will become a king or he will become a monk, a mendicant. And his father, who was the king, was or the head of the Sakya clan, was extremely worried that his only son is going to now possibly become a monk, right? So the way the story goes is that his father protected him a lot from all kinds of problems. He, it is said that he put all the people who were aging or diseased or dying out of the kingdom walls and kept only the healthy people around. And so he could see only fun and joy and okayness, and anything that was disturbing was pushed away from his awareness, and he was not seeing that. And then, but this is a story because there are a whole lot of things that come to my mind also about what could have been different. He was educated in the Vedas, and so he was a very deeply thinking person. But it is said that when he came of age, one day he went outside the palace gates. He took a friend of his, bribed him kind of, and said, Chalo, let's go outside the palace gates and see what is it outside, which I haven't seen. And when he went outside, he saw three sights that shook him up. The first sight was that he saw a person who was diseased, right? And that shook him up, that this person is not well, he's ill. Like, the question that comes to him is, if people are going to get like this, what is the hope? I mean, where are we all moving in life, right? The second person he saw was old. And the third sight that he sees is somebody who's dead, and the people are carrying the dead body. And these three sights really shake him up, and they make him feel very unsettled in his heart. And he feels that if this is what we are moving towards, aging, sickness, death, what's the purpose? What is this meaningless, life that we are going through, which is moving to this? And he feels an emotion that is described in the text as Samavega. Okay, and Samavega is, there's no one word to describe this feeling, but it's a feeling of despair, it's a feeling of alienation, it's a feeling of, a kind of a low, right? And it feels like, oh, he is feeling that. But so many of us, and not because we see aging and death and illness only, because we've got immune to a whole lot of seeing that, but so many of us also feel this emotion of samavega, of being, going back into the same issues again and again, of getting back into our addictions again and again, of getting back into our habitual thinking patterns again and again, or feeling patterns again and again. And it's the same, like, this, what's the purpose? Where am I moving to? What's the point of all this? This kind of alienation and despair is not unusual to humans anyways. It's there in us, right? If we recognize it. So he feels this intense emotion of samavega, and then he sees a fourth sight. And the fourth sight is that of a monk, a mendicant, who's walking. And he has very little. He has just a little bit of cloth on his body, a little begging bowl, and he looks happy. And this fourth sight makes him think or feel a kind of a relief. It's an emotion that is described in the Pali text as pasada, which is a deep relief that here is someone with almost nothing who's able to look happy. Okay, what is it that this person has, and is able to look? I mean, I'm sure he's able to discern the difference between people who look happy with a pleasure-oriented space and people who are looking happy genuinely. He's able to make that difference. So what is it that this person has that he's happy? and he's okay with nothing almost. What is going on here? So I think that emotion creates a sense of relief. And then, of course, the story goes on that he leaves his castle, he leaves his family, everybody, his princely state, in almost with nothing, begging bowl, just two pieces of cloth. And then he goes and learns from the teachers. And of course, in that time, we are talking about 2,500 years ago, so 5th century before Christ, where there are teachers and there are a lot of forest traditions and teachers who are teaching and gurus. So he goes and learns from various gurus. And then after a while, he feels that he's learned what he had to learn and there is more that he has to do. And then he does a lot of extreme extreme practices, like he starves himself, almost to near death experience. He does all of that in the hope that maybe if he lets go everything, he will find some. Like if he detaches from body, everything, maybe he'll find some happiness, but he actually gets unconscious and that doesn't happen. Then he goes on to leave those extreme practices, decides that there is something known as a middle path, which is what he has taught most of the time in his texts, the middle path. And then he goes on to meditate, and then one fine day he meditates for 7 days under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, as we know it, and gets enlightened. Now, this enlightenment, right, we look at it as a state of, it's something there somewhere, you have to sit a long time on some mountain, you have to get it. We think of it like that. But basically, enlightenment means immense amount of clarity about what is what. So he's not looking anywhere else. He's not reading anything else. He's only looking inside. For those 7 days, he's only examining every aspect, every particle, every sensation, every molecule, every atom. He's inspecting and inspecting and inspecting and inspecting. That's his work. That's all he's done. And that gives him final clarity about what is what. Right? Now, that state has not been described in detail in any text because it can only be experienced. It's not a state that can be verbalized. It's called achintya and nirvachanya. Not, you cannot describe it. You cannot think it. It's a state, right? So that's his story. And then he comes back from that state and first gives a sermon to his friends who are doing the extreme practices with him. If you go to Sarnath, which is near, Banaras, that's the first place where the first sermon was given. And the first sermon contains 4 truths, which he calls 4 noble truths. And they are very important because they are a simple prescription for life. Okay? And these 4 noble truths are that there is suffering, or call it dissatisfaction. Okay. There is a cause for suffering. There is cessation of suffering. And there is a path that leads to cessation. Okay? It's a very simple diagnostic. You go to a doctor, you have a migraine, you go to a naturopath, he first has to recognize there is a migraine. Then he'll have to say, okay, what is causing this migraine? Is it the food you're eating? Is it an allergy? Is it a sleep issue? Is it that you had alcohol, which is what is triggering? What is causing this migraine? Then he's going to tell you, okay, there's a solution to this based on the cause, and this is the solution, right? This is what he has done with our sense of dissatisfaction. He says that no matter what, no matter who you are, where you are, there is a sense of dissatisfaction in life. We will look at this in a greater detail in a later time. What is this dissatisfaction? What is its quality? How do we feel it? We'll look at it. But that if you are dissatisfied or if you feel dissatisfied in your situation, you're not alone. Because there is dissatisfaction. It's a big saying that this exists, no matter who you are. And no matter where you are, and you could be a king, and you could be a prince, and you could be healthy, and you could be unhealthy, and you could be married, and you could be unmarried, and it doesn't matter. There is dissatisfaction. There is a cause for it. There is a way out of it. And this is the way out of it. And then he gives you practices or ways to get out of it. It's a very simple prescriptive formula, right, which can be understood and applied.